Most inventors fill notebooks. Sketches, diagrams, equations everywhere. Nikola Tesla? He barely wrote anything. No blueprints, no prototypes. Sometimes not even notes. And yet he designed entire machines inside his head. Complete electrical systems, rotating magnetic fields, motors with hundreds of components, all without touching paper. Most engineers test ideas with models. Tesla tested them inside his imagination. He would mentally assemble the machine, run it, watch the gears spin, measure wear on each part, then fix the design before the first screw was even built. Sounds impossible. Sounds like genius mythology. Wrong. Tesla himself explained exactly how he did it. And when psychologists later studied elite memory performers, they discovered the same principles, 3 mental systems. Systems that turn your brain into a simulation engine. I'm about to show you exactly what they are. And by the end of this video, you'll understand how Tesla could memorize entire machines without writing anything. Chapter 1. The Mental Simulation Engine. Most people think imagination is fuzzy, dreamlike, unreliable, wrong. Tesla's imagination was sharper than reality. In his autobiography, My Inventions, he described a strange ability. When he imagined an object, he could rotate it, disassemble it, change its parts, even test how it would behave over time. In his own words, he said, he could run machines in his mind for weeks, observe friction, watch pieces wear down, then redesign them, all before building anything. Engineers today call this mental simulation. And it's not magic, it's neuroscience. Psychologist Stephen Kosslyn at Harvard studied mental imagery for decades. He discovered something fascinating. When you imagine an object clearly, your visual cortex activates almost exactly the same way as when you see it. Your brain literally treats imagination like reality. That means Tesla wasn't daydreaming. He was running a neurological prototype lab. Most people can't do this well. Why? Because their imagination is weak. And it's weak for one simple reason. They never train it. But here's the trick Tesla used. He didn't imagine complicated machines first. He started with simple objects, a sphere, a cube, a rotating wheel. Then he practiced visualizing them perfectly. Every angle, every shadow, every motion, like mental CAD software, only inside the brain. Psychologists call this spatial visualization training. Studies from MIT show engineers with high spatial visualization scores solve complex mechanical problems dramatically faster. Not because they're smarter, because they can see the solution before building it. Tesla took this ability to the extreme. Instead of sketching ideas, he built them inside his mind. But visualization alone isn't enough. Because most people imagine something once and forget it 5 minutes later. Tesla solved that problem too. Chapter 2. The Memory Compression System. Your working memory is terrible. It can only hold about 7 items. Cognitive psychologists call this the magical number 7. 7 digits, 7 pieces of information. 7 steps, try to hold more. Your brain crashes. Now imagine memorizing a machine. Hundreds of parts, impossible, unless you compress it. Experts never memorize details individually. They compress patterns. This is called chunking. Chess grandmasters don't memorize every piece separately. They recognize board patterns instantly. Psychologist Adrian de Groot discovered this in the 1940s. Grandmasters could recall entire chessboards after seeing them briefly. Beginners couldn't remember even 5 pieces. Not because the masters had better memory, because they saw patterns instead of parts. Tesla did the same thing with machines. He didn't memorize bolts, wires, and gears. He memorized systems, energy flows, magnetic fields, rotational patterns. One mental chunk replaced dozens of components. Instead of remembering 200 pieces, he remembered 10 functional modules: electrical input, magnetic field, rotor motion, energy output. Each module represented an entire subsystem. It's like zip filing information. Loose groceries in your arms versus putting everything in bags. Same data, far easier to carry. Computer scientists call this abstraction layers. Tesla was doing it in his head, which is why he could mentally build machines that terrified other engineers. But there's another problem. Even if you compress information, your brain still deletes it, fast. Psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered something brutal: the forgetting curve. Within 24 hours, you forget most of what you learn. Within a week, nearly everything is gone. Tesla somehow avoided that. He could hold designs in memory for months. How? Because he used a third system, the most powerful memory trick ever discovered. But before we get to that, hit subscribe before you forget. We fix brain leaks here. Chapter 3. The Reality Testing Method. Most inventors build prototypes. Tesla destroyed prototypes inside his mind. He would imagine the machine running, observe it for hours, then deliberately break it. Increase friction, change voltage, push the system to failure, then redesign the mechanism. All mentally. This sounds insane, but modern neuroscience proves why it works. Your brain remembers problems, not information. Psychologist Robert Bjork calls this desirable difficulty. When something challenges you, your brain flags it as important and stores it permanently. Tesla turned imagination into a problem-solving engine. He didn't passively visualize machines. He interrogated them. What happens if the coil overheats? What happens if the rotor misaligns? What happens if voltage spikes? Every question forced deeper encoding. It's exactly how modern engineers run simulations today. Finite element analysis, stress testing, failure modeling. Tesla just did it with neurons instead of software. But there's another reason his memory became terrifyingly strong. Emotion. Tesla described feeling intense excitement when ideas appeared, almost like visions. Emotion floods the brain with dopamine, and dopamine strengthens memory encoding. Neuroscientists at Stanford discovered something similar. Emotionally charged information is far more likely to become long-term memory. Tesla didn't just think about machines, he felt them, which turned engineering into an obsession. But there's one final layer, the layer that made Tesla's brain operate like a supercomputer, and almost nobody talks about it. Chapter 4. The Isolation Advantage. Tesla hated distractions, noise, social events, random conversations. He preferred silence, long walks, complete focus. Most people think creativity comes from chaos. Wrong. Tesla understood something Cal Newport later called deep work, distraction-free concentration. The University of California found that after a single interruption, it takes 23 minutes to regain full focus. Now imagine trying to design a machine while checking your phone every 5 minutes. Impossible. Tesla created an environment where his brain could run uninterrupted simulations for hours. No notifications, no interruptions, just thinking, which allowed extremely complex ideas to fully form. In modern terms, Tesla was using cognitive bandwidth efficiently. Your brain is like RAM. Open too many tabs, everything slows down. Tesla closed every tab, except one, the invention. But here's the thing though, even if you eliminate distractions, most people still struggle to think clearly because they rely on tools, not their brain. Tesla flipped that. He treated the brain itself as the primary invention tool, which leads to the real lesson. The Tesla thinking protocol. If you want to think like Tesla, you don't need genius. You need a system. 3 rules. Rule 1, train visualization. Start with simple shapes. Rotate them in your mind. Practice until you can see them clearly. Architects and engineers train this skill for a reason. It predicts technical problem solving. Rule 2, compress information. Stop memorizing details. Memorize systems. Patterns, processes, not parts. Rule 3, stress test ideas mentally. Ask failure questions. What breaks? What overheats? What collapses? Problems force deeper learning than passive thinking ever will. Tesla wasn't a magician. He just used his brain differently. Most people use their brain like a notebook. Store random information, forget it later. Tesla used his brain like a simulator. Test ideas, break them, fix them, then build them in reality, which is why he could invent things that looked impossible. Alternating current systems, wireless energy experiments, radio technology, induction motors, entire electrical infrastructures, all starting as simulations inside one human brain. But here's the problem though. Visualization alone doesn't make you smarter. You can imagine things all day and still learn slowly, which is why the fastest learners in the world combine visualization with something else, a learning system that locks information into memory almost permanently. That's why I made this video breaking down the exact system memory champion used to remember entire books and lectures. Watch it next. You'll never study the same way again.